大家好，我是说nah. Since Elon Musk took over Twitter, there has been a storm of controversies, embarrassment, and straight-up conspiracies.
Drama, my favorite.
Well, I spent my money and paid for access, and today we're going to attempt to make sense of the latest developments and take a look at the Twitter files. I spent the past 2 weeks going through everything, and man, if there's nothing you take away from this video, at least you'll understand that no matter who you are, power corrupts.
You're goddamn right.
Now, Elon Musk entrusted only 2 people to have intimate access, sort, investigate, and release the Twitter files. The first one is former award-winning editor of Rolling Stone magazine, Matt Taibbi, who quit mainstream journalism and focused on covering cancel culture and the culture war. The second is former journalist for the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, Bari Weiss, who also left mainstream journalism due to bullying for her gender-critical views. Now, the majority of mainstream media has been dismissing the Twitter files as nothing but old news and baseless claims. Well, today, we're going to see if that's the case. And just a note, all of this is screenshots of actual conversations between Twitter employees. So no videos on this one, but I'll do my best to try to keep it interesting. And one thing's for sure, you're gonna find out that even 早餐店的阿姨的 SOP 比 Fortune 500 company 的还强欸. So prepare yourself for a shit ton of 丢脸. And you know what it is, we'll split this up into 3 parts, just for you. So, if there's one thing you can't deny, it's that Twitter mods were biased as fuck. For example, on December 2020, when Trump was firing off more than 25 tweets a day, Twitter mods had enough and decided to implement a new de-amplification tool.
Hello everyone. I wanted to give you an update on some of our enforcement options for tweets containing the civic misinfo that we've seen. It's been decided that tweets that we've manually reviewed and determined need a label will now be subject to L3 de-amplification, further restricting the extent to which that tweet can be shared. The current batch of entity IDs will soon be used for automated labeling work, but I've created a new batch of entity IDs for the labels that we've been using the most during the past couple of weeks. Labels that we only rarely used or that have been deprecated already haven't gotten an L3 update. If there's a moment when we need the L3 version for one of those labels, please flag it to Matt Gradon, M. Gradon, or myself. To find the new L3 entity IDs, please look at the L3 US 2020 11 December update tab in the Civic Integrity Entity ID Stratos spreadsheet.
And once the mods knew they had this new tool handy, they wasted no time in trying to find an excuse to use it.
It's go time.
When Donald Trump shared a video to his Twitter about him supposedly getting 11 million more votes. And with that, Twitter decided to label it, which means to tag a particular post and limit its reach using their de-amplification tool. Hey team, I'm recommending to label this with generic fraud claim. If okay, can I confirm to use a new identity ID? Thank you.
Hi, let's use the old one for generic fraud claims. We won't use the L3 entities until tomorrow morning by San Francisco's time.
Now you might think, well, Trump was seemingly out of his mind during that period, ranting off on all types of conspiracy theories, right? But just a few months earlier, famous LGBTQ rapper and comedian tweeted this.
This is so disgusting and terrifying. They're going to try to steal the election. You have 1 week. If you haven't voted yet, don't mail. Drop it off or vote early. If you can't vote, make sure your family is. Unless they're Trump supporters, just let them forget. Hashtag vote them out.
So when one of Twitter's policy officers suggested to label it, here's what the head of the policy team, Patrick Conlon, replies.
Hey team, can I get your opinion on this tweet? This is an edge case with commentary and AMP, encouraging voters not to vote by mail. I believe we should label it.
I think that I'd not bother with labeling this one. It's still encouraging people to vote, but expresses a concern that mailed ballots might not make it in time, which seems fair this close to the election date. Still encouraging people to turn in their ballots in person or to vote in person.
Now, it could just be a bad judgment call, right? I mean, they're only human. I'm sure you've been at your job and made a bad decision once or twice, right? After all, they did suspend the World Socialist website Twitter account, but upon Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter at that time's inquiry, the account was immediately unsuspended.
What the hell?
So, it would seem that the very guy who is in charge of Twitter succumbed to his own biases. Now again, people make bad decisions on the job all the time. But for a small group of adults who are making decisions about what a person can or cannot say on a public platform, do you guys think they should be held to a higher standard?
Maybe?
So, with these biases in place, you might be wondering, how in the hell does Twitter get to choose what election content does and doesn't violate their platform rules? Surely they have some sort of SOP in place. Well, according to the following chat, even in cases involving the president. Twitter mods, as far as we can see, Google search to verify information.
Hi everyone, received this escalation just now. A rigged election would be enough to be in violation, right?
If the claim of fact were inaccurate, yes, but it looks like that's true.
Now, of course, they did have some policies in place, but what you probably don't know is they were getting advice from some very powerful people. Some might even say their decisions were directly influenced by them. Here is a chat taken from an inquiry from the Twitter's PR department to their policy director, who I kid you not, is named Mr. Pickles.
In Pickles, are you comfortable with marketing talking about misinfo by saying that we detect it through email, human review, and partnerships with outside experts? I know it's been a slippery process, so not sure if you want our public explanation to hang our hat on that.
Can we just say partnerships? E.g., not sure we describe the FBI, DHS as experts or some NGOs that aren't academic. So, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Homeland Security were partners, eh?
Hand to God.
I wonder what kind of partnership-like activity you would call this next conversation, where the FBI submits a report to Twitter regarding 2 tweets.
We just got a report for the FBI concerning 2 tweets. One related to the shredding of mail-in ballots. This is proven to be false via this. Do we have a moment ready for this one? 2, I believe was deemed no vial on numerous occasions.
So the Twitter mods decide to fact-check an FBI report by Googling up an article by PolitiFact, an organization that has been proven to be biased against Republicans to a statistically significant degree, to verify the first tweet in question. And then the second tweet? You will normally have an error rate on physical ballots caused by errors and people spoiling their ballots. That's totally normal to have a 2% error rate. No idea where the 25 is coming from. I have no strong feelings, but feel free to use the label as above, since a 25% could cause doubts.
I think we can use the mail-in voting label for this one as is.
In the end, they approved the FBI's request and labeled both tweets with a "Learn how voting is safe and secure" label. But this next bit reveals that not only were they having weekly meetings with the FBI, the DHS, and the Director of National Intelligence, but that when it came to the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, their so-called partnership seemed to be absolutely useless.
YOLR has checked in. Here's what they said. What's new for you since our last check-in? Hacked materials exploded. We blocked the NYP story, then we unblocked it, but said the opposite. Then we said we unblocked it, and now we're in a messy situation where our policy is in shambles. Comms is angry, reporters think we're idiots, and we're refactoring an exceedingly complex policy 18 days out from the election. In short, fuck my life. Weekly sync with FBI, DHS, DNI, re-election security. The meeting happened about 15 minutes after the aforementioned hack materials implosion. The government declined to share anything useful when asked.
So, they blocked the story during a presidential campaign, which then CEO Jack Dorsey later admitted they f***ed up. And by this point, the government's uncooperative behavior led the Twitter executive Yoel Roth to not even bother showing up for the weekly meetings anymore.
Hey there, I have to miss the FBI and DHS meetings today, unfortunately. I saw you're on the invites for both as our site policy. Can you give me a quick readout if there's anything interesting that comes up? Sure thing. I hope everything's okay. Yeah, just have conflicts at both times. An Aspen Institute thing this morning on vaccines that I have to present at, and then a call with Apple to avoid us getting kicked out of the App Store during the DHS one. Oh, those both seem very important.
Now, in spite of this, these meetings picked right back up, and more frequently after the January 6th fiasco.
It happens. I'm a big believer in calendar transparency, but I reached a certain point where my meetings became very interesting to people, and there weren't meeting names generic enough to cover. Anyway, let me know. Very boring business meeting that is definitely not about Trump. Pretty much. Definitely not meeting with the FBI, I swear.
So as you can see, the Twitter gang had an on-again, off-again relationship with high-ranking departments of the US government. Now the big question is, what does this Ross and Rachel-like romance have to do with Donald J. Trump? Well, you already know that Donald Trump's constant barrage of seemingly outrageous tweets were cited as being responsible for the January 6th insurrection, thus leading to his ban. But here's what you didn't know. Months prior to Trump's ban, Twitter already had nearly 10 different bots monitoring and actively limiting the reach of his account and his tweets. And when rumors started to spread that Twitter was indeed manipulating Donald Trump's account, here is how Yoel Roth responded.
Hi, Yoel. Appreciate all your hard work today. We've heard from a reporter that they have a trusted source telling them we've restricted Trump's ability to tweet. Sorry for the annoying request, but wanted to chase it down with you before starting an email chain, etc.
We have not.
Now, pay close attention to the timestamp of Yoel's reply, because less than 20 minutes after that conversation, this goes down.
Link. Label, please.
Done.
Is it done?
Looks like it's now bounced.
It's the right decision. Yoel, I hope you, Dell, and others are appropriately corpsect.
Now, to be clear, the term bounced inside Twitter means a 12-hour timeout. That means Trump could not tweet for half a day. Now, no matter what your opinion is on the banning of Donald Trump's Twitter account, the internal conversations between Twitter execs show that they were very well aware of how big a decision this was.
Is this the first sitting head of state to ever be suspended?
And upon banning him, they immediately started to process their new power and prepare for banning future accounts of future presidents and heads of state.
As stated in our ban evasion policy, if it is clear that another account is being used for the purposes of evading a ban, it is also subject to suspension. For government accounts such as POTUS or White House, we will not suspend those accounts but will take action to limit their use. However, these accounts will be transitioned over to the new administration in due course and will not be suspended by Twitter unless absolutely necessary to alleviate real-world harm.
And finally, they discussed their reasoning for banning Trump.
Hi Vijaya, I'm working with Redacted on my team to put together a doc to share with you with a POV from our research, ours, academics with whom we have been working, etc., on DJT's language as coded incitement to further violence. In the meantime, here is our quick take. The decision on whether to pull that particular tweet or use that as a straw for Trump depends on many factors, including 1. The overall context and narrative in which that tweet lives. We currently analyze tweets to consider them at a tweet-by-tweet basis, which does not appropriately take into account the context surrounding. You can use the yelling fire into a crowded theater example. Context matters, and the narrative that Trump and his friends have pursued over the course of this election and frankly the last 4+ years must be taken into account when interpreting and analyzing that tweet. 2. The larger question around our moral imperative and decision as a company, which user sentiment should not drive based on, number 1, Redacted, and I believe that his tweet does violate our rules when taking that historical context plus current climate into account.
So, although the bulk of the debate and discussion happens days leading up to the Trump ban, it is pretty damn clear that from the suppression bots and de-amplification protocols, the groundwork for banning Trump was laid way in advance.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
From incompetence to collusion to premeditated targeting. Although the Twitter files may be shocking to some, to many others, it just confirmed what they've already been thinking for a long time. That these motherfuckers are biased and corrupt as fuck, yo. And according to Matt Taibbi, there are tons more files to go through. What we shared today is just the tip of the iceberg. And as more gets released, you can bet your ass we'll be on that shit. But before then, on our next episode, we're gonna cover why in the hell so many Taiwanese people support Donald Trump when most of America hates that motherfucker. Cause to most of us, he's pretty much the mascot for the next American Civil War. And what I'll reveal to you next time might make you think twice about why Twitter banned that dude in the first place.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
There's a fucking million of us out there, and we are listening to Trump. You're the boss.
But based on what you know now, what do you think? Leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace!